So jumping right into the next slide, this one is innovation, creativity, and recruitment. So how do we find the perfect candidate in when hiring seems to be void of the talent we're looking for? So as we've mentioned, we're a new and budding industry in the African continent. So sometimes, as we've said before, we don't always find exactly what we're looking for. But I think around our recruitment, it is a level playing field. And that's one of the things that I've tried to ensure is that you don't need to know anyone to get in. Submit your CV, we look through them, and then we're, sort of some of the things that have been identified by Estelle and Dr. Jumi as well, is what we're looking for when we're narrowing down and shortlisting candidates. The reality is you don't have to know anyone. You can put your application in, but network. It's so important to kind of get out there and then meet people. You might run into a hiring manager. You might talk about your experience in a conversation at a conference, and someone's like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what we're looking for. So I think it's important to network. We're creative in our approach to interviewing. So yes, we're going to look at the technical and soft skill sets, and we'll also just look at how your particular profile could fit into the organization. So there's times where you'll find, we interview someone for one role, and then we're like, you know what? Not for this role, but hold, because this person is perfect for another role that we have coming up. So we try to be, creative in that sense. I would say I've seen someone who joined the organization as a molecular scientist, for example, and now is on the operations team. So they were there, they have the skill set and they're, the ability to work on the bench, but they had interest and a little bit of experience in operations. And that there was kind of that progression for them to operations. So I think we're a bit creative when it comes to interviewing, and we identify skill set and say, you know what, this person is a good fit for the organization. Let's keep them. Thirdly, we oftentimes identify the gap between where an applicant is and where we need them to be. And we say, is that gap, can we train them through the gap and then kind of absorb them into the organization? So you don't always have to have all the boxes ticked because we know that we might not find exactly what we're looking for. And I think, I'll give Jumi a moment to kind of talk about the molecular science scientist trainee program that we did towards, I think this was maybe towards the lockdown, just when COVID kind of snuck into the picture. But yeah, I'll give you a moment to talk about that, Jumi.
Thank you, Abi. So yes, I am in alignment with what Abi has said. We always look for people who, even if they don't have the full skill set required for a role, we know that we have programs and schemes within the organization to upskill and train them to the level that we need them to operate in. So one thing that became very obvious when the pandemic struck in March 2020 was the sheer lack of molecular scientists on the continent, not even just in Nigeria. A lot of colleagues in other African countries were experiencing the same thing. And so they found themselves in a situation where they had to make do with what they had and quickly get people who were fast learners to learn on the job, to be able to operate COVID-19 diagnostics facilities. At 54G, we took a slightly different approach where we were fortunate to get a handful of scientists that were trained very quickly and were deployed to some of the labs we set up. But we also set up a training academy because this was a gap that was very obvious. And we knew beyond the pandemic, we didn't want to be in the situation where we needed molecular scientists in the country and we couldn't get access to any. So we set up a molecular training academy. It was the first of its kind within the organization. And the only criteria was that the trainees needed to have a degree in a science-related subject. We knew we were going to have to train from the ground up. Things very basic like pipetting within the laboratory, wearing PPE, taking off their PPE appropriately, to using instruments for molecular applications, which were not always available in universities where they had obtained their courses. So we had a 4-week residential intensive training program. We accommodated the trainees. We took them through all of the training curriculum. they were opportuned to have experts in the field of molecular genetics come in at different points to train them, and also to walk them through the training within a laboratory setting for about 10 days of that training academy. And at the end of it, we were able to at least produce trainees that could work in a molecular lab and be further trained in specific molecular applications. To date, we retained quite a few of them, Abi, if I'm correct. And others have gone on to do PhDs outside of the country. Others have gone to do masters in some universities. And we have some of them working in other molecular laboratories now present in Lagos. So that's just one example of the type of opportunities available to upskill skill sets to the right level that we need our staff to operate on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Jumi. I kind of think about when I'm thinking about like 54 Gene and what has happened over the past couple of years since we joined. That's one of the things that sticks out in my mind is like so cool. I still will have conversations with some of the scientists from the trainee program, and just check in once in a while, and I'm like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool, because you have it kind of points to making sure that folks are employable, because you can have your degree and you might have graduated top of your class, but are you employable? Do those skills translate to what the organization actually needs? So awesome contribution there around the program that you put together. Cool.
Yeah,
So
I think it's also at that point one of the proudest moments for me at that point when when the company made that decision was really being able to invest in your ecosystem. That's what it really means, and that's the type of company that we are. We really believe that we are very aware that a lot of the things that we're trying to achieve do not exist. So we don't shy away from making it happen, to or investing in areas that might not necessarily be the purpose of our company, just so that we can achieve our objectives. Yeah, this was an excellent program, Dr. Jumi.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you can still see my screen.
I cannot.
Okay. Okay, so I've been having a few technical issues.
We can wing it. We can talk through.
Okay.
I think we have,
yeah. Okay. Okay. So the next point we wanted to touch on was gender equality, and really just directly, as a company, diversity and inclusion is a very, very, very important topic. It's extremely important for us that we include, different people, overlooked population. In fact, is in the DNA of 54 Gene. That's even the core of our mission, right? To improve inclusion of overlooked population into, global genomic databases. So this is something that is really important. And whether we've done it intentionally or not, right now you can see that on the panel we have like 3 people, and all women, are in senior leadership position in the company. I don't know, Abi, if you want to comment a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome, right? I think being able to work in an organization, or one of the things that's super important to me, and might not have been at the beginning, but now where I am in my career, that I really appreciate, is being a part of a Black-owned company, first of all. But then secondly, have so many powerful, or powerhouses that are women in the organization that we work for. So we have several women on the leadership team, at the C-suite level, the company's board. There are powerful women. So there's never a day where I wake up and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know who to look at for inspiration. Because I just look around and have a conversation. It might be with one of you guys or someone else in the organization. And then when you kind of like take a step back and look, I'm just like, we're dope. That was so I think of course, up days and down days, but I can always look around and see a woman at 54 Gene doing something really amazing. So I mean, for me, it makes it a comfortable place to be. Yeah. So
Yeah, and I think that to me, this is the first time that I'm actually working for an organization where there's so many strong women, and like I have the chance to compare that with other places where women are mostly in minority, and you can see that. I mean, kudos to men, but women, like, we know that the sense of purpose is much stronger by virtue of being a woman, and being a caregiver in the society. And I think it's very important for our founder as well to make sure that women are represented, because when the issues that we are trying to solve, they impact women directly on a daily basis. So I think it completely aligns with the objective and the vision of the company. At the beginning, I would say that the workforce was very, very, very female. Now things are evening out a little bit more, but I think it's definitely a source of pride to be in an organization like that. Yeah. So Abi, can you tell us a little bit more about like the things that we do to actually encourage female empowerment, or just drive diversity and inclusion more at 54 Gene?
Yeah, sure. In these last few minutes, I'll kind of try to like touch on them very quickly. But one of them is competitive maternity and paternity leave, and this is really to just encourage new parents to spend sufficient time with their newborn or children before returning to work. It makes a difference, right? When you know that. You're going to have a good chunk of time allotted to your newborn, so you can stay at home and get that bonding time in before returning to work. The other one I would say is flexible working hours. So we allow women to practice or to kind of like balance out their childcare responsibilities with the professional responsibilities. And it's, I mean, both parents obviously, but there's just that flexibility there. And finally, the other thing I'll touch on is the infrastructure within the workplace for ad hoc childcare at 54 Gene. So parents can bring their kids to work. And there is an on-site creche that makes it just makes an accommodation for you to bring your child to work. Maybe childcare fell through or something happened, and they're with you for the day. So I think those are kind of like three things, just quickly to touch on that we do.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that, Abi. I think this was such a good conversation. I can't believe it's almost time for us to wrap up. Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed this is a conversation that we have regularly internally. So it was very useful to, we're very grateful that we're able to share this. So feel free to visit our career page and see all the opportunities available. We're expanding beyond Nigeria right now into Francophone, West Africa, into Kenya, into South Africa. So, we are really looking forward to meeting bright people, amazing talent that, subscribe to our vision and, can contribute to the awesome thing that we're trying to build. Abi, Jumi, anything to add as we wrap up?
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure being part of this panel and these discussions. And thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was great. I hope for those who are watching, they found or heard some helpful information if they're looking to break into the biotech space, or if you're currently in the space, or wherever you happen to be. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. Hope you found it helpful. This was great, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the organizers. This is excellent initiative. Thank you so much.
For sure.